Good evening, everyone. I should say good evening, good day, this good afternoon, because I'm really not sure when you'll be looking at this and when you'll be watching it. I do want to say thank you very much for the support, for the encouragement of, helping me see that, joy cometh in the morning. We did have a technical issue that came up. We had that happen yesterday, and it was fixed. And so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to push forward. This is International Women's Month. What the Chalmers Medi Helps Foundation has done with this being the first year of the International Women's History Month event is we've asked some dynamic speakers to come in and leaders in their field and just talk about things that impact women and impact the history of women, because we all know health is wealth and wealth is health, right? And we all know that we need to have leaders that can continue to empower us and powerful in this really powerful ways to help us to see that, hey, you're important. And you, as the leader of a family, when it comes to family affairs, you have to have good health. You have to have a good mindset. So throughout the next month, well, throughout this month, right, from today until the 30th, we will be bringing various speakers, various women leader speakers who will be talking about women's history as it pertains to health. Tonight, I, as well as the board members of the Chalmers Medi Helps Foundation, are very excited to welcome in as our speaker Rajitha Bommakanti. I'm hoping I said that correct, or at least halfway correct. And you might be like, well, Sandra, who is she and why did you choose her to be on your platform? Well, as I stated, I'm asking senior subject matter experts because our community, and when I say our community, right, I'm talking about the community of women. Sometimes we just don't know. We need to see women in places, women that have power, women that have, the educational pursuit and done everything that they needed to do. We need to know and we need to see that they care about us as well as caring about themselves. I do want to say that if you're watching this on Facebook and you're watching this on Facebook Live, please go ahead and put your comments in the Facebook chat. We will be able to see them. If you're watching this and you're watching this on LinkedIn, please put your comments in so we can see them as well. We will address them towards the end, but please do know that your comments and your questions and your thoughts, they do matter. So if you can please put them in, that will be wonderful. Back to Raj. She is an RN, a BSN, an NBC-HWC, a CCM, and an FCN. And so I'm going to let her explain that when she comes on. I'm going to let her explain all of that to you. I know what it is, but I'm going to let her explain that to you. And she's also a culinary coach. She has been practicing nursing for over 30 years in various medical specialties. In her nursing journey, Rajitha has seen gaps in patient care and the impact chronic medical conditions had on her patients' quality of life. She wanted to make a difference. So she moved into a health coaching space where she is a health partner in educating, inspiring, and empowering people to make small changes to their lives to improve their health. Rajitha is a habit change specialist. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn the mic over to her. Once again, please note that your questions and comments are welcome. So please go ahead and enter them. Thank you. And it's back to you, Raj.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for the Charms Foundation to be inviting me to present today. And thank you to all the audience for taking time to listen in and understand and learn about your gut health. And just to let you know, all those initials that Sandra has mentioned, as she said, I am a registered nurse. I am National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach, culinary coach, certified case manager, and faith community nurse. So that being said, without too much stuff about me, let me get into the topic at hand. It's about nurturing our gut and brain health. So, why am I bringing this in front of you today? The reason is I used to suffer with bloating, irritability, abdominal pain, all kinds of stuff going on. And I go to the doctor after doctor. They do all kinds of lab tests. And I even had the scopes done. Everything was fine. And they're looking at me like I'm some crazy nut. And because everything is fine, and they say, okay, maybe something mentally wrong with you. Right? So I had to take control of my own health. I did a lot of digging, a lot of research in that. I found gut health, and I did, uh, you know, invasive stool analysis and all of that, and found where my problem was. I had gut dysbiosis where I worked on fixing it, and I'm still working on it. This is not the end of it all. It's a lifestyle change that we all make. So that's the reason I wanted to bring this topic over and make sure that everybody understands it's not just about bloating, abdominal pain, constipation, diarrhea, all of that. We really need to understand there's whenever we face certain symptoms, certain things, there is a reasoning behind it. So we are our own doctors. You know your body better than anybody else. So dig into that and understand what is the root cause and fix the root cause versus the symptoms. So that's a little thing I wanted to make sure everybody takes control of their health. That way you can live a thriving life throughout. So, that being said, again, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here, for wanting to improve your health and learn about it. And so, this isn't going to be an interactive session. So, please do, chat in the chat box. Sandra is monitoring that. That being said, I just would like to ask you guys, what is that you are expecting today out of this webinar? By the end of it, what is your expectations? What do you want to get out of it from this? I just have about 3 key points that I want to make sure by the end of this webinar you learn is you will discover the scientific foundations of how the gut health impacts the brain function and your emotional well-being. Number 2 is you will learn how to implement actionable strategies to support and improve your gut health. And number 3 is you will be able to apply the knowledge gained to enhance your lifestyle. So everybody is unique. There is no one size fits all. So from tonight's presentation, you will be able to start implementing. So throughout the presentation, have a paper and a pen, take notes, and see what fits into your lifestyle. You will be able to start implementing right away from tonight. Very similar to one of my client, Nathan. He had like a structured life, and he always did like a routine. Breakfast is grits, eggs, toast, and that's all. He would not move out of it. It was weird for him when I said, no, you can change it up this way, that way. He was very, very resistant. But after really understanding the evidence that I provided to him, he slowly started shifting. Once he slowly started shifting, his A1C before he came to me was 7.3, and then it dwindled down to 5.7 after 12 weeks. So that is what it is. You need to be open to listening and understanding. Yes, we all have done things in a certain way, but there is more than one way you can do. Because if you are doing the same thing over and over again and you're not getting any results, then what's the point? So change it up, be open to change, and try it out. Look at the evidence and follow the evidence. So now that enough of that, and what results would you like to leave this webinar with? So that's the one point I would really like you to write down. What is that you're expecting out of this? And another question I have for y'all, if y'all can type it up in the chat, what did you eat for breakfast today? What is that you ate for breakfast today? So love to see some of your comments on what was your breakfast today. And here is the illness wellness scale. And on this illness wellness scale, where do you see yourself on this number? The numbers go from 0 to 10. So where is that you see yourself on this scale? Go ahead, comment in the comments below. And because we are going to get back to these two slides at the end of our presentation again. So the next thing, all health starts in our gut, right? Gut is, we don't think so much about it, but so much lies in our gut. There are about 40 trillion bacteria in your body, and most of which are in your intestines. There are bacteria, viruses, and fungi all over you. These microorganisms outnumber the human cells by 10 to 1. 10 to 1, that's a lot. That's a lot. Collectively, they are known as your gut microbiota, and they are hugely important for your health. That is what we are going to focus on, the gut. And the next thing is on our brain health. Patricia said she had French toast and bacon. Okay, we are going to look at that again towards the end. Thank you for sharing that, Patricia. And here is a vagus nerve. Vagus nerve is the 10th cranial nerve, which is also known as the wandering nerve, which extends from our brainstem. It goes all the way down. It goes into your facial muscles, your throat, your vocal cords, your ears, lungs, heart, piercing down through your diaphragm, down into your stomach, your intestines. It is all over the place. This vagus nerve is the link to all the different organs of your body, including your gut and your brain. This is that gut-brain connection. Even though, we are all one unit, sometimes we think of it as two different, but it's all one unit. Evidence shows that vagus nerve is the connection between our mental health and our physical health. Do you know that gut is referred to as a second brain? It is because 90% of the nerve fibers connect back to the brain through our vagus nerve. A key player in the body-mind connection, which is the vagus nerve, that is behind this gut instinct that we have. We say that, oh, I have that gut instinct. So that is the connection. And it's the knot in your throat and the sparkle in your smile. And also that jittery butterfly feeling, before a presentation. All of that is that bidirectional connection that we have. The anxiety, the stress you feel in your mind, it's all reflected in your gut, because sometimes when you're really anxious and all that, you have all this abdominal pain, cramping, and things like that. So that is that bidirectional connection. So you can think of your vagus nerve as that two-way communication, that radio communication that we get between the two, that helps us stay connected with our sensations and our emotions. So there is that direct link between the foods that you eat and the health of your immune system too, of your microbiome. So if you disrupt your microbiome, it is a pathway to your immune problems. So the lining of our gut is encapsulated with a thick mucus layer that there is this cells that are joined together. That's what creates that tight barrier. It is like a security guard which decides what can come in, what can stay out, what gets into the absorption into your bloodstream, and what cannot. So that is that tight junction connection the cells form. I don't know if you have ever heard of a leaky gut. When you have a leaky gut, the lining of the cells, the gut, it's porous. It's not as tight. So then when it's porous, it easily allows the back and forth transference of the toxins and all the other things, because until now we had that tight junction that was that security guard protecting. Now it kind of got, the junction is got loosened up, so there is that easy transport of toxins and food proteins, pathogens, bacteria, and other compounds that seep through the membranes and enter the bloodstream. Your immune system, what happens then, it mounts a response saying that it seems like this is foreign substances, foreign bodies that are in the bloodstream. So that results in the inflammation and that immune dysregulation. And that's the start of all the chronic conditions. Anytime you have that inflammation all over and it's that chronic inflammation, then you have the chronic conditions. So leaky gut results in chronic activation of your immune system that can leave you vulnerable to infections. The immune cells get so busy engaged in this threat. They're thinking, some invaders came in, they're trying to fight that, the threat in the digestive tract. So they are busy fighting that. So then you have no energy. That's when you are dragging yourself, all the fatigue, and because all the resources are gone to protecting your, the immune system. So you're exposed to all the pathogens. So that is primarily what the leaky gut is in a nutshell. Excuse me. Because the gut influences all the aspects of our health, leaky gut can lead to many symptoms in many different systems of our body. Some of them are like digestive problems, bloating, constipation, reflux, gas, diarrhea, food sensitivities, and hormone problems. Have you ever thought about you could have hormone problems when your gut is not functioning properly? Estrogen dominance, PMS, endometriosis, PCOS, all of these. And then immunity problems, frequent infections, allergies, asthma, skin problems, eczema, acne, rosacea, and then you'll have joint problems, pain, inflammation, rheumatoid arthritis, metabolism problems, chronic fatigue, weight gain, type 2 diabetes, autoimmune problems, Hashimoto's disease, and then irritable bowel disease, psoriasis, celiac disease, mental health problems, anxiety. Remember that connection that we have? Anxiety, depression, brain fog, all of these mood swings, learning challenges. These are all related to that leaky gut. So, how is that? How do you get this disrupted microbiome? How did we get there? Some of the reasons could be by eating standard American diet, using frequent antibiotics. Yes, antibiotics are needed, but sometimes It's used very frequently, even during viruses and all of that. So we need to be very careful. Do we really need the antibiotics? So that's where you need to be your own advocate. And using artificial sweeteners. And then as you age, your gut health also weakens. So unmanaged stress, inadequate sleep, C-sections. When you are C-section baby, you don't go through the vaginal canal, so you're not absorbing, inhaling all those vaginal bacteria that's over there. So that's again one of the reasons. Nowadays, some of the really good GYNs, they scoop that out and put it on the baby so that it can inhale some of those vaginal secretions. And then use of proton pump inhibitors, long-term use of it, because you say you have this irritable, you go to a restaurant, you're uneasy, so then you start pumping all of these antacids. Frequent use of it, these are all the things that causes dysbiosis of your gut. Can you relate to any one of these things that I have just mentioned? If you do, please put it in the chat.
Raj,
So,
before we go further, can
yes.
you can you go back a slide, please?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay, and can you break that word dysbiosis down so that people actually understand what that is, please?
Yes. Thank you for asking me that. So, dysbiosis is when your your gut is not in homeostasis. That means it's not in balance. It's totally out of balance from consuming, you know, all these foods that I said, the standard American diet, lots of sugar, the sweetener, artificial sweeteners, and antacids, antibiotics, all of this. So what happens, that's where all the disruption occurs. So what happened, because I told you, right, we have lots of bacteria in there. So when we consume that, more we have good and bad bacteria all the time. There is more of good bacteria when your health is in a good shape, your gut is in a good shape, and the bad bacteria are more dormant. So here it flips. The bad bacteria take over, and the number of good bacteria go down. That's when you have all these different symptoms about bloating, abdominal pain, constipation, and all of that. So, did I answer your question, Sandra?
Yes, I just wanted you to explain it because look at this, and health literacy is real in our country, no matter what level you are, especially when it comes down to healthcare.
Yeah.
Some of our most seasoned healthcare professionals don't get the fact that you look at a prefix and a suffix and you put it together, and that gives you the basis of the words, like context clues. But that's why I asked, could you break that down and just explain it in layman's terms what dysbiosis is so that everyone looking can understand what it is. They don't just look at the word and say, oh, whatever, and keep going. They understand what they're looking at. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So here, so as we were saying, gut is the root of our entire body because everything sits in the gut. So how can we, because, and at the same time, whatever happens, our body is very forgiving. It has that healing power. You just got to give it a chance. How can you heal that gut that is totally out of balance, right? From consuming all this stuff that we just talked about. It is by eating whole food, plant-based diet like whole grains, fruits, vegetables. These are that good fiber that you're feeding your gut. And also this plenty of fiber, it thrives, a bacteria thrives on that fiber. And also it relieves that constipation and drinking a lot of water along with the fiber, not taking like Metamucil, things like that. I'm talking about real fiber that's coming from beans, nuts, legumes, vegetables, fruits. So that's the natural fiber. And your gut thrives on diverse range of foods. Eating diversity of foods that are whole foods is most beneficial for your health. Eating lots of vegetables, legumes, beans, fruits. These are hugely important for that bacteria. It's a variety is what we are looking at, including variety of spices and herbs. These are all the different things, different colors you want to include in your diet. Seasonal foods. That's big, going to the farmer's market and getting whatever is in season and eating that. And so eating polyphenol rich foods. What is polyphenol? It's that dark color in these, like blueberries, plums, cherries, apples, strawberries, black olives, coffee, black and green tea, dark chocolate, even chocolate, but make sure it's dark chocolate, and hazelnuts, pecans, cranberries, pomegranate. These are all polyphenols that have the natural micronutrients in them, that they occur naturally in the plants. It's nothing artificial in it. So that is what your gut bacteria loves it. What are the other things? And it's also adding prebiotic foods to your diet. What are they? It's like onions, leeks, garlic, oats, nuts, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, artichoke, greens, barley. These all support the good bacteria in your gut, helping them thrive. The prebiotic foods are the ones that promote the growth of beneficial microbiomes, like Akkermansia municipala, which feeds your mucin layer. Remember, we talked about initially that the intestine, it's encapsulated in this mucin layer throughout. So I'm not sure if any one of you guys have heard about this. Weight loss drugs that we have been listening in the news and everywhere else. Um, Let me know in the chat if you have heard about it, the semaglutide. So what happens, so I'm going to connect you to that, back to that drug again. So this beneficial bacteria that I just talked about, Akkermansia municipala, it's a mouthful, that feeds on the mucin layer, the layer that encapsulates your intestines, which feeds. So when it keeps eating, then the new thicker ones form, and it keeps that nice and tight. So whenever this bacteria come and eat that mucin layer, it releases GLP-1 in the gut. That is the weight loss drug craze that's been going on, the GLP-1 now. So they are mainly fiber, the complex carbs that can be digested. We cannot digest from our human cells, but instead, that's the reason these bacteria have to eat them to break them down so that it becomes a fluid that we can use for our body. And there are numerous studies that have shown that the lack of Akkermansia municipala, that's one of the keystone main species in our gut. So if we don't have enough of that, there is a link to multiple diseases like obesity, diabetes, liver cirrhosis, inflammation, and also response to some of the cancer immunotherapies. They don't respond very well. Some of them that do have cancer, you hear them saying, "Oh, the treatment worked very well." For some, it doesn't. So evidence has shown that lack of Akkermansia is one of the reasons for that. So it is that acromantia that you can get from natural foods. You can have that production of that GLP-1, and also by chewing the food nicely. These are some of the ways, instead of having all the chemicals, naturally you have the power to change your gut health and your entire overall health. So that is a huge one that we are hearing over and over again, the pharmaceutical companies releasing various drugs on this GLP-1. So polyphenol rich foods, and the prebiotics are the ones that increase that Akkermansia municipala. That that is just one bacteria I'm talking about, but there are several of them in our gut. So improvement of Akkermansia municipala also increases the insulin sensitivity, and it exhibits um, healthiest metabolic status. Metabolic status is all the different things that goes on, like increase in our cholesterol, the triglycerides, the fasting blood sugars, and the body fat distribution. So it kind of balances them all and lowers them. So it's in your best interest to consume these natural foods. It plays a role in boosting that GLP-1 production by the production of the P9 protein called P9 that increases the GLP-1 production. That's what it's used in some of those drugs, the weight loss drugs that they are using. So improving the gut lining integrity stimulates the GLP-1. The gut lining integrity is that Akkermansia coming and eating that mucin layer up. So when you have Akkermansia, then it will eat it up, and then the mucin layer and the stronger layer keeps forming. So it also manages the blood glucose too. And also another one of those, so far the research only shows that these two bacteria, Clostridium butyricum and Akkermansia municipala, are the only two strains in your gut that do have that GLP-1 production. I just wanted to bring that up because that's so much in the news. Every other day you hear about these drugs, and there is signs by the roadside too saying, here are the medicine for you to lose weight, which you can produce yourself instead of popping chemicals. Okay, another thing is probiotic foods that contain live microorganisms. They are intended to maintain and improve the good bacteria in your body. So how can you do that? By eating fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, tempeh, yogurt, kefir, kombucha, cottage cheese, miso, um, and pickles. Also, not all pickles are fermented. So you need to know, always get into the habit of reading the ingredient list. If it has added sugar, or if it does not say, it does not, all of, in the United States, they have to label that there, live bacteria is in it. So make sure you read the labels, don't assume and just buy it. And don't get anything with added sugar. Get into the habit of reading labels. Probiotics have live bacteria that do not get the ones with the sugar in them, because a lot of them do have sugar, especially when they have added things to it to enhance the flavor. So that being said, I told you a lot of different things that you can do to improve your gut health by eating natural foods. But you're saying, I can't do that. I'm not used to that kind of food. And my stomach hurts. I have cramping. I have bloating, all of that, right? So even if you say that you're not ready to give up animal products, that is okay. I'm saying that is okay. Just include more plant based meals, including more. There is a secret kind of energy we all have inside of us to get healthy and have a toned body. And if your goal is to live a vibrant life full of energy, and then you want to get off of these medicines, then include whole food plant based meals into your diet. Even if it's a small amount, you can increase it small, one thing at a time without, too many disruptions. You can do that. And the other ways also, we primarily focused on food, but there are other things that you can do to realign your gut. The other things are exercise, making sure our gut loves for you to move around. We as humans are meant to move around. So, doing regular physical exercise, moving around, and getting good night's sleep. It's not just the number of hours, it's the quality sleep. When you wake up in the morning, are you refreshed? Do you feel like you have a lot of energy, or do you still feel you're tired? Even after sleeping for 10 hours, you're still tired, you want to get back to bed. So it's the quality of sleep, the restorative sleep that you get. And also how you eat your food. What do I mean by that? How do you eat your food? It's, I go to a gym. It has all these glass windows. One end of it is a grocery store, and another side of it is a high school. So I see these kids going to the stopping at the grocery store, buying huge bag of chips and sandwiches in them as they're walking, talking, eating, and walking around. Okay, no matter what you're eating, what type of food you're eating, when you're eating that way, you're not, the signal does not go to your brain that okay, you had enough food, that's enough. No, that's the reason we keep eating, eating, eating when we are watching television, or when you're stressed, thinking about something else. So when you're eating, pay complete attention to your plates. How does it look? How does it smell? Enjoy every single bite and chew the food before you swallow. So these are the big things. And also when you eat, time restricted eating. When the sun is at peak, that's when the most digestion occurs. So eating your biggest meal during lunchtime, and the smallest meal at dinner time, the lighter meal, and not eating throughout, not until the time you sleep. Restricting your eating, bring that window, down to, like, depending on wherever you are, everybody is at different places, like maybe to 10 hours, then slowly move it down to 9.5 hours, 9 hours. So shrinking that, because that gut needs the rest. That bacteria, it's working. We all need rest, so the gut also needs rest. So we need to rest that a little bit so that it can heal and digest food. You When you're sleeping, you don't want all the energy going into the digestion. You want to be able to rest. So, and also managing your stress. Yes, we have stress in our daily life, but how do you handle that stress? How do you manage it? How do you reflect on that? So these are all the other additional topics we can cover, but I just wanted to touch, it's not just about food. It's a holistic approach. We have to address all the different things so that we are stable and keep that gut health very healthy. And also, another thing is outside nature. Nature is the best healer. Going outside in nature, if you have pets, all, because we need all of those bacteria. And also in the soil, in the garden, don't wear the gloves, just with your bare hands, getting into that soil, digging all of that, we transfer all of those bacteria that is good for our gut. So these are all the different things that will help you with that. And I have touched base on that, in terms of when you're going to eat. You need to restrict, you cannot be eating throughout the day, throughout the night, until the time you're sleeping, laying in the bed and trying to eat something and drink something. So, it's working according to the circadian rhythm. When the sun is at peak, that's when eat the biggest meal, so that it gets digested better. And again, so this is where I say, okay, you're not ready to completely transition into a plant-based. That's fine. At least if you do 25-75, slowly you can increase it depending on wherever you are. So 25-75 method is 75% of the plate filled with fruits, vegetables, beans, legumes, whole grains, and then 25% of the plate filled with whatever you want to eat. Whatever you want to eat can go into that 25% of the plate. This way, it's a win-win. So you're not losing anything. You're still eating what you have always eaten, and you're including other additional stuff that is good for your gut. And as you are including this, over time, you will start craving for more of plants than the other stuff, than the sugary and all the other kinds of stuff that you were eating. So every 2 weeks, our taste buds change. So you will start liking the foods that you have included now, which is good for your gut. Okay. Again, what is this? This is about our emotions. So if you have healthy emotions, then you will have healthy immune system and a healthy gut. When you release the stored emotions, what happens when somebody says something, somebody does something? What do? We just store everything. Everything gets stored inside. We think, we forgot about it. No, we did not. It got stored inside us, in those folders. Then, those stored emotions, your body cannot relax anymore. That's when you have all these stressors here and there. You don't even realize that you have stored an emotion. So that's the reason you need to release those emotions in a healthy way. It's very, very important. Don't think nothing bothered me, that's okay, and all of that. You have to be able to release those emotions in a healthy fashion. And also, when we want our body to heal, we cannot be in two different states at the same time. You can be in anger, sadness, frustrated, overwhelmed mode, and also want to heal at the same time. You can only be in one or the other. So if you want you to heal, then you need to be mostly in that love, joy, generosity, gratitude type, that area. Those are the things that produce oxytocin, the love hormone. Versus if you are in sadness, fear, and anger, then that releases more of the cortisol, then the stress level goes up. So that is the reason it's very, very important to be in in the side of the oxytocin. You can only be in that when you're able to release those emotions that you have stored inside. It's, one of my client that remembers, I remember Sue, when she came in, she was so depressed to me. She could not even sit in our group coaching classes. She was newly diagnosed diabetic. She was trying to conceive, and she was very, very depressed. It took a lot of time for her to release those stored emotions. She was having a lot of personal issues, and she's a nurse too. Doesn't matter. So it took a lot of time after working with her, in conjunction with her other medical treatment. She reversed her diabetes, she lost weight, and now she has a beautiful 1 year old baby. So that is the reason it is very, very, very important to release our emotions. Don't take it for granted. So, also forgiving. Whenever people do something, we say, I will never forgive them for what they have done. You're not forgiving them for what they have done. Not, they could have done the worst act. That's fine. You are just forgiving that incident, that action between the interaction between the two of you. Because if you don't forgive, you are storing that inside of you. And when you don't forgive, you're saying, I'm never ever going to forgive. That is only hurting you, not the other person. So that is the reason you do need to, it's very, very important. Remember, we talked about that gut brain connection. So it's very important to do that. So now, Sue is eating more plants, and she knows how to release her emotions like anger. She's easily able to forgive herself and others for the acts that they have done. That's helping her release the neurotransmitters such as serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin. These are all good for your gut. These are all in our gut that helps more production. So that's the reason, they give you these, all of these neurotransmitters give you this text messages to our brain to increase the GABA production and reduce anxiety and depression like feelings. So um, that's why it's so important to take care of your emotions. Um, so here I have a healing task for you. Where do you think your emotion is coming from? This is what you need to ask yourself. Whenever you have that stored emotion, say to yourself, where is that coming from? Sometimes we totally forget about it in this busy life. So sit down and contemplate, write it down. Where is that coming from? What are those unresolved issues in your life? So these are the things that you can, journal on, and you'll be able to get those answers. Sometimes you might not get the answers in one sitting. You might have to sit down several different times and try to understand, digging back to that, deep stuck emotions to release them. And another thing is, what type of beans, legumes, vegetables is that you want to include in your diet. See, in my coaching program, at the end of every module, they have healing tasks. This came straight from that coaching program. So write down, what is that you're ready to make a change? What type of plans is that you would like to include? Start with something that you already do, you already like, and increase a little bit more of that. And use this mantra. Okay, I am going to eat more of, fill in the blank. Can some of you guys share with us in the chat? What is the mantra that you're going to use? You're going to eat more of what? Um, More of berries, more of, um, I don't know, broccoli. What is more of greens? What is that you want to eat more of? We would love to hear from you in the chat. So this is that plate I talked to you about. 25% of your plate will be whatever you want. And then if 75%, if you can include mostly plants that are gut friendly. Okay, so the breakfast. Um, we have talked about the breakfast, right? Earlier, I asked what type of breakfast did you eat? Can you tell us, rate your breakfast on a scale of 1 to 10? Was that gut friendly? Where was that on that scale from 1 to 10? Let's hear in the chat. Okay, we have seen this illness wellness scale, right? Looking at this scale again now, where would you like to be on the scale? You know, to more towards the right, more towards the left, more in the middle. Where is that going forward? What is that long-term goal of yours? Where would you like to be on the scale? Love to hear in the chat from you guys. Okay, what is the one strategy that you want to start implementing starting today after this webinar from what you have learned? What is the one thing that you want to start implementing? Let's not all put in at the same time. You're waiting for those chat comments. All right. How confident are you that you're able to implement this on a scale of 1 to 10? Okay, Carolyn says more fruit and vegetables. So, what type of fruits and vegetables, Carolyn? So, how confident are you on a scale of 1 to 10 that you are going to be having more fruits and vegetables in your diet? How ready are you on a scale of 1 to 10? How ready are you on a scale of 1 to 10 that you are going to start implementing for your gut health?
And you know,
So,
Raj, before you go on, you actually bring up a good point, and Carolyn didn't answer your question, but you bring up a good point when you say what kind of fruits and vegetables. I've told my personal story over and over again, and I've told it because I want to be able to be of assistance to someone who might be facing the same challenges I was facing a year or two ago. And that's this: all fruits and vegetables are not good for you, right? I was hung, every morning for a good maybe 2 years. I would get up every morning and I would have a pina colada. Only when I was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease did my doctor tell me you need to cut out those pineapples. Like there's too much sugar. But if you don't know any better, you're thinking, okay, well, some fruit is good for me. But yet there's a high, sugar content level in pineapples, in bananas. So when someone says, okay, well, I'm going to eat a lot of more fruits and vegetables, or introduce fruits and vegetables, how do you know where does someone go to find out what fruit and vegetables are good for them? Because not all fruits and vegetables are good for everybody. I can't have potatoes or white rice. I mean, I could have it, but I get sick behind having it. So those are just little things that I had to take out of my diet. But how does someone who doesn't have the information, or how does a woman who's building up for a family or trying to conceive a child, how does a woman know what fruits and vegetables that she should be eating?
um, so as we said, it's not one size fits all, right? And Carolyn did answer as you were starting to talk, strawberries and fruit smoothies. So um, fruits, yes, certain fruits have higher sugar content versus lower, but all that's all natural natural sugar coming out of fruit. So in not the fruit juice. When you have fruit juice, you're removing the fiber out of it, you're drinking. So that spikes your blood sugars quite a bit. It is that if you eat the whole fruit, like in a smoothie, if you add entire fruit without making the juice, without removing the pulp of it, then that is still, because the fiber is what that that's that slow release. It's not that burst of that. Again, if you if your body doesn't agree with certain things, so then that's how your body is reacting. That's why it's different for each person. That's why it's not one size fits all. So we work with individuals to see, how they are feeling. And then some of the things, like, a lot of them say, beans, I can't do beans. I have a lot of gas and all, but it's the way you introduce. Okay, you have issues because you know what? For so long, your gut has been out of balance. Now, all of a sudden, you're throwing all this good stuff and it does not know how to react. So, in those cases, we say, okay, let's start with 1 tablespoon. So, for some people, even 1 tablespoon is too much. Then we say, okay, let's start with half a tablespoon and then slowly reintroduce it to that gut. So that's the reason. That's why it's not like one size fits all. So we have to look at individuals to see what is happening, how they are reacting to it, what are the other conditions they have along with it. So also sometimes it's like, um, along with what else are you eating along with that also plays a role. So that's why it's everybody is unique. We have to look at each individual and meet them where they are, in that terms. So
Thank
thank you, Ellen, for sharing the fruit that you like. And I'm hoping when you said fruit smoothies, you're putting the whole fruit into it and making it into a smoothie. I'm sorry, Sandra, you were saying something.
No, I was saying thank you very much for explaining that, because once again, a lot of people that will be looking at this video will see it, or maybe perhaps they'll share it with someone, and they'll be like, everybody keeps telling me that I'm, eat fruits and vegetables, eat fruits and vegetables, but then, I'm eating fruits and vegetables and I'm still not losing weight, or I'm eating fruits and vegetables and my sugar index, I'm still considered to be diabetic. Well, you gotta introduce people to stuff and then introduce it, the reason why, right? I mean, our community, especially with women, a lot of times we just don't take care of ourselves because we're so busy taking care of everybody else. If we just had a guide, like a pocket thing, to actually address, what it is that we should be having or what we shouldn't be having, sometimes it could stop that train wreck from happening that so often happens with women, because once again we are the caretakers, so we're busy taking care of everybody else but our own bodies, and a lot of times what happens is that we get, we hurt, or we get weak, and we break down, or don't do the things that we're supposed to be doing because we're not paying attention to it.
That's true. That's true. We don't take care of ourselves. We don't put ourselves first, which we do need to in order to take care of everybody else, but we don't realize the importance of it. That's why you're here, bringing that awareness to everybody, Sandra.
Well, then Carolyn is saying she puts green leafy vegetables, she adds spinach, she adds mixed greens to her smoothies and her fruit.
That's like my smoothie. I love it. That's what I do. I add tons of greens and fruits in it
Mhm.
because if I just have greens, that's that bitter taste. So the fruit is that little sweetness,
Right.
so that it kind of goes in. Yeah, and then don't forget the omega threes. Flax seeds, chia seeds, all of that. Those are also very, very good, for your gut. Um, all. I say is it's about redesigning your plate. Yes, it balances the taste. Yes, yes, it does. It's all about redesigning your plate, right? Changing the composition in your plate. If you are looking for practical ways to improve your microbiome at the moment, that that is what you need to do. Whatever helps you. Here's a tip that might help you. While I don't like to be prescriptive. I don't say eat this, that, and that, right? Everybody's body is different. Everybody is different to things. So I much prefer people experiment and find their own way of eating habit that they enjoy, because you have to enjoy what you're doing, what you're eating, that gives you satisfaction. So that's a huge thing. A good rule of thumb, as I said, has found great success also in quite a bit of my clients is 75% of the plates. 75% of the plate to include the gut friendly food, and then 25% of the plate, all the other stuff that you like to eat, which is a win win. To get that's how you can slowly get your gut optimized. Um, so, how is this going to assist you? You have seen that, right? The connection between that gut and your brain. You know, that reminds me of another story of Kimberly, another nurse who was very depressed. When she first came on, she was not ready to give up her, standard American diet, her meats every single day with every single meal. So after working with her slowly, now, she includes it only in her 25% of the plate. And, she is doing great where she has her own company. She's a health writer now. She is off of all her depression medicine. So that's how you can slowly improve your health. You have the control of it, nobody else. And you know your body better than anybody else. So you take charge. By taking charge, you can change the trajectory of your health and live a vibrant life. So, in terms here, we primarily focused on the food and some of the, emotional and mental connections, but there is a lot of other ways that, the vagus nerve that we talked about, where when we can work on that vagus nerve so that it is toned all the time to be in that parasympathetic. It's all about sympathetic and the parasympathetic balancing so that we can balance our stress out. So there are many ways, mindful ways, other things. So for our presentation today, we primarily focused on food and some emotional and that connection, the gut and the brain connection that we did. So I would love to hear your questions. Um, any questions that y'all have?
I'm actually not seeing any questions, but I do want to touch upon some points that you, like maybe 2 points that you brought up during your conversation. And one has to do with the GLP, the weight loss drugs. We've seen that, well, I've seen it happen. I'm not tell how old I am, but I've seen it happen with numerous diet food, diet fads when they had medications that you could take to help you lose weight. And it's like, why are you taking this if you could do it yourself? Like, you really don't need that. You just need to have some willpower, because what happens so often, and you let me know if I'm wrong or not, but what happens so often is that I've seen people that have taken these weight loss drugs or have done gastric bypass surgery only to, 2, 3 years later, you look at them and you're like, but I thought you was on a diet, or I thought you had gastric bypass. Like, does the, like, that gut food, that food, does that food play, what percentage of that food plays into them, not being able to keep that weight off?
Yeah, they have seen, right? These people that are taking this, as long as they're on this drug, they're losing weight. They're looking good. They feel good. Wow, I'm looking good. But once they stop taking it, they're gaining up all the weight. So what's happening is this GLP-1 production, right, with that chemical, the semaglutide, the GLP-1 production goes up and stays up. The arrow goes up versus the natural way when this Acromanthes municipala and the other species, when it produces, it's like a waveform, up and down, up and down. That's what it's supposed to happen. When we are eating food, it releases that, it eats up that mucin layer, releases the GLP-1, and then it goes down. So in here, it's staying up all the time. That's why we hear, since this is still so new, we are not hearing so many, but still there's quite a few cases where people are saying they have gastric paralysis, where, or the gastric system is not moving. Quite a few are like really regretting taking this because right now, so much in the news, it's all about losing weight. For some of them that really need, yeah, they can take it, but along with that, they need to make that lifestyle modifications. So, the drug is assisting you with that weight loss and it helping you, with your metabolic system, but at the same time, you're introducing that lifestyle change. And as you're getting used to that, making the changes in your lifestyle, then slowly come off of the medicine. That's what it's supposed to be. But
So you're not, so the medication isn't designed for people to take for a long period of time. It's like a short term fix. Only what's going on, the problem is that, there's a couple of problems with it, right? One, a lot of people that are taking it are truly not overweight. So they really are doing more damage if they're 2, 3 pounds overweight and they're taking this GLP to help them lose weight. You're losing your weight structure, you're losing your structure, so you're harming yourself more so than hurting, helping yourself. You're harming yourself. That's the first big problem, and someone actually needs to, I used to tell patients all the time, look, when they would talk about they're going to have a gastric bypass, have you had a history done? Has your doctor that you're going to for this weight loss, has he sat down with you and just, discuss with you what your weight loss, like, what is your family history for weight loss? Because if your family history is on a big, on a big side, the chances are that this gastric bypass is not going to help. It's not going to help you. It's going to hurt you because you're thinking that, okay, I've got this, I'm down this small, and there's nothing else that I have to do. But if it's in your family history, there's a whole lot more that you have to do. And so, I'm thinking that a lot of these patients, a lot of the people, a lot of them are not even patients. I mean, let's be real. They have the GLP, the Ozempic on eBay where they're selling it to the highest buyer. But you're not doing yourself any good. I mean, really, you're hurting yourself. And I don't see it where, these patients are getting that history and that physical done while they're taking the medication or even while they're thinking about taking it. They're just jumping head over heels and going for something, not realizing how much harm they can put on their cells or their bodies. Is there like any like recommended readings that you have that you can like think of that will help people that are considering taking Ozempic or any of the other weight loss drugs that might be helpful to them to read before they do something damaging, especially as women, because we don't need to damage ourselves. So is there like some type of recommended reading that you have in mind that you could share with people who want to read more on these weight loss drugs?
if they look up like yeah, scholarly articles on PubMed on that. There is some research out there. So, really looking into what is that evidence showing. Because even in that medication pamphlet, it does say, you know, use it with the lifestyle change, which is not being used appropriately. And I have also seen some of them that are on these medications because they have a small window because they're not hungry, because it stays up all the time, so they're
Right.
not hungry. So the little bit of that time that they do want to eat, they feel hungry. So instead of eating nutritious food, they're going to like donuts and cookies, things like that. So where are your nutrients? So you're losing a lot of muscle. And, you know, especially women, that's for everybody, but women, you know, especially as we age, we lose muscle. You know, you don't have that much muscle. And then here, you're that little window, you're saying, okay, let me chow down on this, but you're losing out all the nutrients. Okay, you go to a person nowadays, they're also giving this out in the spas, and you say, okay, I want to lose weight, I want to take this medicine. Okay, it's a business for them, right? They are selling it to you. Even some of the medical practices, it's like everybody looks out for their own bottom line. That's the reason every single one of us need to look at our own selves. What is appropriate for us and for our body? What is healthy?
You
How
know,
is that I want to live? You know, is it all about that outer beauty? What you have just said, Sandra, that some people 2, 3, you know, pounds overweight taking it. Is that is that all that matters to you? How you look? Is it the outer beauty or the inner beauty?
right. And that's what we get lost on, not just women, but everyone gets lost on. It's the outer beauty, but it's really not. I mean, I could meet someone that's beautiful, but if their insides are like screwy, like I gotta stay away because that may my mindset isn't ready for all that. And Carolyn is saying they are selective on who they prescribe it to. I had no idea that the gyms were actually giving Ozempic out. And Carolyn, you're so correct. They are selective. However, people that are on the internet all the time, they just go on the internet and they buy it. They don't even have to ask the doctor. They just go on there and people will sell it to them for all kinds of money. And because they want it, they go buy it, but then what happens to the people that really need it? There's none left for the people that really need it. So, that's an issue and that's a story for another day. But my third point that I wanted to touch upon was that you said you see a lot of, students, young students going and they're buying pop and they're buying chips and they're eating this and they're eating that. And then I'm seeing on my end, I'm reading story after story, day after day that's coming out with these younger children, these younger people, younger children are having all of these diseases and are now being attacked by all of this, all of these things that we thought were long gone, but they're coming back and they're coming back with a vengeance and they're coming back and they're actually attacking our younger population. Could that possibly be also tied to the gut health? Children are no longer sitting at home having dinner. They're out in the street doing everything. Could that possibly be tied to it?
Oh, of course, I'm sure it's a lot to do with that gut health. And also, what you have said is about mental health. You know, look at the kids nowadays, not just the kids, everybody, but, you know, you're so messed up from all of this. The mental health, it's related to the food that you're eating because, you know, your gut is all messed up, out of balance. So, this is all connected to that. And we have like, you know, working parents, both the parents are working. And so there's nobody to spend time with them. They're more on their social media. And, you know, there's nobody, maybe they don't have somebody available to get them breakfast and all that. So that's why they have to go to the store to get some chips and, sandwiches to eat along the way, first thing in the morning. This is like at 8 o'clock in the morning.
And so they're damaging their bodies. And Carolyn is saying what she's saying is true. She's saying she would not trust that internet medicine, and know their parents were anti-vaccine. They were against the vaccine. And so she's saying that's what's causing a lot of the younger people to, the measles are back. Someone older just in Chicago, they was talking about on the news, a bus driver had measles, or someone was on a bus had measles, and that's transmittable, and they had measles. And all of these, when we were growing up, these things that we heard about that would never come back, they're now repopulating themselves. So I'm kind of like, okay, well, what are they putting in the food? like
I
really?
know. I know. Yeah, it's like all of these things. I don't know. We are just losing our basics.
Right.
And getting into, I don't know. It's just been tough out there.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be overly smart,
Right.
thinking that what is the base. Going back to our basics. That's all we need to do.
Right.
Go back.
Okay.
All of these foods, everything that's very basic.
Right.
Nothing fancy. Very, very basic. Home cooked meals.
Yeah. I'm with you. And then Carolyn saying she wouldn't trust the internet med. I wouldn't trust it either, simply because you don't know what you're getting. But that's true no matter where you go, especially now, right? With so many pharmaceutical companies, so many pharmacies, walk-in pharmacies closing, you don't know what the mail order people are sending. You have absolutely no idea what they're sending. You just see that it's coming in a bottle with a label on it, and that's what's happening. But you have no idea what you're taking when you order it from the internet, when you're ordering mail order. You have no idea. You don't have an idea when you go into a walk-in pharmacy, but at least you have somebody that you can ask. What is this? What am I taking it for? Ask for questions. But now that's gone. It's gone here in the city. I don't know why I gotta fly. It's gone here in the city. But the city where I live in is, pharmaceutical. We had a lot of CVS's, and CVS's are closing up left and right. So there's no longer that, unless you drive, there's no longer, you can walk into the store and ask the pharmacy, can you help me with this? So I thank you, Raj, very, very, very much. I need you to stay back for just a few moments, but I thank you very much. And for those of you who have listened to this tonight, thank you for that ongoing support and that ongoing love of support whenever we've had technical issues. This is our first year doing this at this level and this scale. So of course there's going to be glitches, and I'm just really appreciative of everyone who has shown me love and said, hey, Sandra, hang in there, don't give up, we need you. I'm appreciative of that. So thank you so much. So very, very much. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close out this evening. Our next video, live video, is scheduled for Saturday, and it will be on lymphedema. So that will be our next Women's History Month. I kind of keep saying Women's History because May is Women's Health Month. This is Women's History Month. It's all about who the women are that are taking the lead and taking the charge and leading us forward. All of us, not just women, but women and men. So with that being said, I want to wish everyone a good day, a good night, a good morning. Thank you.